You know what I find funny? I find funny. I don't know about you, but my mother would always take us to church as children. What I find funny is that when parents would take their children to church, want them to have a relationship with God, and when they get that relationship with God, and God shares their business, not only do we get mad at the child as parents, now we want to have a boxing match with them. See, if that child, suppose that child went out into the street and told all your business, what would you say? But what's our response to God? What is our response to God? Shouldn't it be God, I repent? But the problem is, instead of dealing with our issues, we look too much like our issues. And when we look too much like our issues, instead of our God who brings us out of our issues, that's saying that we're not talking to God. We're not spending time with God. And he said, it is the Lord that let him do what seemeth him good. Now, even when it hurts y'all, you have to say to those who may be very familiar to you, you may have to tell them when God has moved against their house. You may have to tell them when God says he's bringing some pressure down on their children, especially if they trust you spiritually. All too many times, because we grew up with a familiar faith, we don't want to tell them the truth of God. How many times did you go on the phone with your sibling who may not be in church, who you know that knows God, but don't walk in the call of God as tight as they should, but you refuse to tell them something? You refuse to say, listen, you can keep up your ways all you want, but there's going to be a requirement that God has from your life. Why do we allow this familiarity that cause us to get in places that's outside of faith? When you refuse to deal with the familiar, you're telling God you're not willing to be in faith. You're not willing to trust him. We've got to deal with the familiar.